There we go. Morning, everyone. Here today with Jake.
Hey, how's it going?
So Jake, just give us a little bit about yourself, where you started.
Yeah, so grew up in San Diego, California. Played football at San Diego State. Played baseball and football in high school. So just kind of been sport and athlete my entire life. Went to college. I had no idea what I wanted to study. So my football counselor said, "Well, you like sports? Why not take up kinesiology?" 8 years later, I'm now getting my doctorate in it at ETSU, and haven't looked back.
So where did you do your?
So my bachelor's was at San Diego State in kinesiology. My master's was at San Diego State in exercise physiology, and now I'm studying sport physiology and performance at ETSU.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about ETSU's sport physiology program.
ETSU Sports Physiology program is super, super cool. It's super unique in the way of how often we get to work with athletes. Day one, you get in and you're assigned to a team, and you are the sport scientist and the strength and conditioning coach. You're spending every day in the weight room with them. You're doing all of their testing, and it's really, really good experience to not only learn what you're being taught in the classroom, but then that afternoon you're being able to apply it physically to an athlete and really seeing what you're learning and how it comes to fruition and works.
What team are you working with right now?
So ETSU actually works with a couple teams. A lot of them are at ETSU, and then we also work with a local NAIA college called Milligan, and I work with their baseball team. And we started their program in October, so I got an extra experience to really build the program, their strength program from the ground up. The first year we ever worked with them was kind of when I came in. I had my background in baseball when I was playing in high school, and it was really, really awesome experience to be able to go in, meet with the coach, kind of see what he wants, and be that first person to build that athlete monitoring system and their annual plan and reap the benefits of it.
That's cool. So how did you reach out to this? Did you reach out to the Stones directly when you were applying for school? Because I feel like a lot of people would be intimidated by going to people that are so highly regarded in our field. Like, how did you go about reaching out to them? Because I have a feeling it may be true with them as it is with Dr. Brown, that a lot of people are seeking their attention all the time. So how did you go about reaching out to them without, I don't know, pissing them off, I guess, or irritating them?
Yeah. No, Dr. Stone seems like a very hard-knock guy, but he's the most approachable guy there is. He will answer absolutely any question you have. He is constantly getting inundated, and I think he said he gets something like 250 to 300 emails a day.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable. Throw that on top of a graduate program with over 60 students. He definitely has his hands full. So, but like I said, he is the most approachable guy there is. He'll answer absolutely any of your questions. I think I had a little unique situation because I wasn't really going to pursue my PhD until the December before I graduated my master's. So as opposed to going out there and checking out the facilities, I just did a ton of research online, applied, and kind of got in and dropped everything and said, here we go. A lot of students, we constantly have prospective students coming into our lab, open arms. He'll be the first person to take you around, show you everything we're doing, everything we can offer. We have a big range of stuff that we can test in the lab, from horseplay data to the Vicon to the motion analysis. We have an OptiJump system to do kind of sprint characteristics, stuff like that, and he'll go around and roll out the red carpet if anyone ever wants to check it out.
So, actually, go ahead, Whit.
Oh, okay. I know he's big with weightlifting. Do you guys do a lot of weightlifting research out there?
Yeah, so we are actually a satellite Olympic training site. We have a collegiate program that is attached to it. That's also another great opportunity is if you are a weightlifter and you want to pursue a master's or a PhD, we offer funding. If you could try out and join the team. And that's really our flagship program. So we have multiple students on both the training side and the testing side. And it's a big part. It's a love and passion of both the Stones, and it's really cool to kind of see the progression of whether it's programming or whether it's athlete monitoring, stuff like that. And just like I said earlier, really see that theory to practice unfold.
Yeah, it seems to be a real limitation of a lot of programs, but you're actually really applying that stuff. Okay, so the question I had was actually about your baseball stuff. So a lot of times we're working with the science, the hard science, and we're applying it because the science tells us to. How do you plug in the stuff that intuitively this seems right to you? So I guess I'm asking you about the art of coaching, and when you're plugging in stuff that doesn't necessarily have the scientific backing, but it sort of makes sense to you intuitively as a coach. How do you plug that in, and how much a part of that is incorporated into your program?
I think that the art of coaching is huge. It's easy to sit down, read every book, write out your X's and O's, your annual plan, and say, okay, this is what we're doing. And I think what a lot of people get lost in is that art in coaching. And you can have your whole week set out, and then your coach gets upset and runs the guys for 3 hours, and your whole week shot. So as much as you like to have that scientific background, and I think you need to have evidence-based practice with absolutely everything you do, there is constantly daily tweaks to make up for a kid being tired or a kid being sick, or maybe he was up till 2 a.m. studying for a final and he just doesn't have it that day, and you need to know kind of when to back off and when to kind of get into someone and push them.
Yeah, I was worried, always concerned about that sort of stuff, because a lot of times, like, if you're trying to wait for a position statement from certain organizations or someone else to do it first, then the innovation's gone. And that's the sort of stuff that frightens me as a coach, as a practitioner, is someone's got to take the risk. And even then, it's not necessarily a risk, but just as something should dictate, maybe it's intuition that says, you know what, that seems right to me. And that's what I always think about too.
Yeah, I mean, intuition has a big play in it. It's just important that it's an intuition coming from past experience and knowledge of maybe a different training modality that you're now incorporating into it, and it's not some dream you had the night before that said, "Oh, this might work." You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So what type of I was reading your bio. So what sort of extreme sports do you work with?
Right now I don't work with any, but I just constantly trying to think up some what they do, follow any research that there is, and kind of in the hopes of getting into it someday.
I think that's where we're starting to see a lot of people do that. Like, I want to see someone train the Red Bull, the Rampage guys. They're just like drop. That would be interesting to see how people are training them.
It's funny you say that. That's my dream job, is to get a physiology position at their training lab in Santa Monica.
That'd be incredible, man. That's crazy.
One day, I'll be there one day.
So just a minute ago before the show started, we were kind of talking about how ETSU is kind of a hidden gem. So how did you, being out here in California, San Diego, how did you find out about their program, and what did you do, or what steps did you take to figure out what PhD program you wanted to do?
So you think PhD sports science, America is not the first country that comes into mind. You're thinking either Cali, you're thinking Auckland, New Zealand, everything's kind of international. Not everybody can afford to go international. It's hard. And just by reading research and kind of staying relevant in the field, it's hard not to come across Dr. Mike Stone. He is absolutely everywhere. Whether he's the first author or the last author, he's going to be in almost every journal at least once every couple months. So I knew him, I respected him, I loved the work he was doing, and that kind of led me to their program. A whole lot of Googling later, and I ended up deciding to apply there. Luckily, I got in, and the rest is history.
So did you have much culture shock, or what's it take for someone to uproot themselves from San Diego? Is it to move to Tennessee and pursue, because I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to take that risk as much as, I mean, we can call it a risk, but to really uproot themselves and most everything they know and just go to something that's just fundamentally different, just a different location like that.
Yeah.
How did you make that decision, and was it difficult for you? And
it was an extremely difficult position. I'm a huge surfer, so going from I live 500 feet from the beach to now in Johnson City, Tennessee, where before I got into the school, I had to look it up where it was. I had no idea. So it was there's a lot of sleepless nights figuring out, do I want to do this? What do I want to do? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? End of the day, I was finishing my master's. I had a personal training job. I knew I wanted more, so I kind of just held my breath and hoped for the best, and couldn't be more happy with my decision.
That's awesome. That sounds an awful lot like my buddy Jimmy. He was in San Clemente and uprooted himself and went to Indiana.
Yeah, and by no means am I settling down in Johnson City for life, but I look at it as it's a 3-year stint at the end of the day, and I think it's going to open up a lot of doors later in life.
Yeah. So how soon did it take you to find your local watering hole?
Well, there's only 2, so
that didn't take very long, did it?
Yeah. So it's I think there was more students at San Diego State than there are residents where I live.
Oh my God.
I think there's something like 50,000, 55,000 in the whole town of Johnson City. So it's definitely a different atmosphere. It's a nice change of pace. Everything's much slower. Everything's much cheaper, which is fantastic. It helps when you're a broke college student. But yeah, I'm very happy with my decision, and things are starting to roll.
So
it's exciting.
What's next for you then? So you're gonna earn your PhD, and then where do you see yourself after that?
Yeah, so keeping options open. I haven't really set exactly what I want to do. I love teaching. I'll probably kind of become a professor and trying to out here make connections, because unless you're not in the field, you don't know what ETSU is.
Yeah.
And as big as it is in our field is pretty relatively small, especially when you start thinking of exercise physiology programs or kinesiology programs, stuff like that. So just constantly trying to make connections and see what jobs are open 2 years down the line. And it's hard to see exactly where I'll be just because there's so few positions. But I'm excited to see kind of where I end up and where I can take what I've learned and how to apply it.
Right. So we talk about this all the time in terms of networking. So how did Whitney go about networking with you guys over at ETSU? I feel like
so it's really fun. We were at Coaches College. We have a Coaches College at ETSU every year. It's kind of our staple and our pride and joy. We bring the best speakers we can get, and as a graduate student, everybody has to submit a poster. So we're all in, and we put out some really good work. We have a bunch of other students that submit and present posters and presentations, and just meandering through, I kind of stumbled on Whitney's poster. We started chatting it up, and then we saw each other at NSCA again, and just kind of building the connection and helping each other out.
And that was one of the things we were talking about with ETSU, this coaches conference. I mean, anyone out here in the West Coast, California, not very many people know about this hidden gem of a conference. It's every December. What I'm getting from it is you guys change themes every year. So last year was weightlifting. This year it's long-term athletic development. It was definitely something I just kind of threw out to Dr. Brown. I said, hey, I want to go. And I got to meet the Stones, Dr. Stone and Coach Stone, met Jake. That's the big thing, is you've got to network in this field, and getting outside of California and going to a different conference in a different part of the country, or not, well, East Coast, just getting to meet other people and seeing what other programs are out there. I mean, I totally dig ETSU's program and what they have to offer. I mean, they have the same atmosphere that Cal State Fullerton has. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and if you have any thoughts of joining our program, I would highly suggest Coaches College. You will meet all of our professors, you'll meet all of our students. Anyone will ask any question you have about the program. You can come check out our lab because it's right across the street. And like I said, it's a great place to network. With the Stones connections, we get some really high caliber speakers and attendees, and they've been friends for life. And it's a really relaxed environment, and you could ask questions that you may have to the smartest minds in the field.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to us too.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool. Like very, very applied, and the environment sounds like you're describing Fullerton too.
So tell us more about the Olympic Center and the athletes that come in, especially with Rio going on right now.
Yeah. So it's been exciting time at ETSU. We are a satellite training center. We have Olympic weightlifting come through. We have canoe and kayak come through. We have bobsled come through. This summer, we just had Japan's kayak team training at our site, and it's really, really cool to see. We have Dr. Brad Deweese as one of our teachers, and he used to be the head sports physiologist at Lake Placid. So it's really exciting to see him work with those athletes, see their day-to-day reaction, and really just see the highest caliber athletes train on a daily basis and see the work they put in. And like I said, again, using what we're learning in the classroom and how it's being implemented with Olympic caliber athletes.
See, that's awesome. See, the big criticism of a lot of research we do is, well, this is a recreationally trained athlete, and we're trying to make decisions based on that. I mean, there's a lot of carryover, but a lot of complaints that some people have is, well, yeah, but you can't do that with an Olympic caliber athlete. But it's incredible, and that's what makes it so remarkable that you guys are doing that over there.
Yeah, I think that's an easy excuse for people to do. What a lot of people don't realize is it's hard to do research on Olympic caliber athletes. They have so much at stake. They're not going to let you poke them. They're not going to let you mess with their training program, because that's what they've done to get to the point where they are. At the end of the day, human physiology is human physiology. And while there is additional steps you have to take with an Olympic caliber athlete because they're closer to the genetic potential, the alterations are going to be the same or very similar.
Yeah, I think the level of the work that they have to do to put in, or the work that they have to put in, is closer to, like you said, the genetic potential. So we have to redline them, or pretty close to redline them, or the loads that they need to.
Yeah,
you have to really be. You have to be cautious with it.
Yep,
because
and that's where programming techniques come in. That's where training theory comes in, and a lot of the research is just focusing on one aspect of the training program. And from the research, you can kind of pick and choose where you implement that, and then you're going to still have your whole annual plan and how you structure their yearly training and their quad training, stuff like that.
So I'm sure you had your expectations going into ETSU and doing your PhD, but is there anything there that you weren't expecting?
Weren't expecting. I wasn't expecting workload. No, I mean, it's a PhD program. If you're getting 8 hours of sleep every day, you're gonna do something wrong. It's I also wasn't expecting how open Dr. Stone would be. You think he's just this intimidating, award-winning exercise sports scientist, but you could walk into his office at any time, ask him any question, and it's a really cool experience. He cares about every single one of his students more than I think people will realize. And then as far as dissertation, you could throw just the most absolute off-the-wall ideas, and he'll work with you to figure it out. And as long as you have a sound reasoning of why you want to study it, it's a go.
That's awesome.
I think a lot of PhD programs kind of try to funnel ideas into their students and kind of align what they're researching and try to get a student's dissertation to kind of help their research, and that's not even close to the case of what it seems like.
So are you internally funded then? Or how do you guys go?
Yeah, so funding's hard because it's such a small school and we have so many graduate students. The PhD program, it usually works out you're paying for your first year, and then the second 2 years you'll get funding. What a great option that a lot of people take advantage of is you can actually get funding through an outside department at the school. So we've had students get GAs for financial aid, GAs through the library, and that helps out a ton.
So as of right now, what books are you reading, or what research are you looking at right now?
What research? Right now,
well, let's start with what field are you looking at
so
right now?
I try to keep relevant as much as I can. I'm going to start data collection in a couple weeks, so I've been diving heavily into inflammatory response to resistance training, kind of fatigue management, and through my dissertation, I'm going to kind of see if there's a couple markers that we can test for overtraining and the different fatigue response based off different training modalities. So I've just been up to my neck in overtraining and cytokines and T/C ratio,
sounds like someone else
stuff
who
like
just
that.
interviewed.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your dissertation and like just what are you? I know you kind of like touched on it, but
yeah. So for my dissertation, I'm actually doing it with another student. We are looking at 2 different loading schemes, repetition max or base potentiation, and seeing what happens. He's going to be kind of taking the muscle architecture side, so we're going to be doing 2 biopsies. I'm going to be looking at the fatigue response, so looking at different cytokines and their response, the T/C ratio, just kind of seeing what's happening underneath the system, and just to see how all that relates to both performance and the training response.
and this is what you also do for your master's thesis?
My master's thesis, I actually did I was looking at 2 different phospholipids and seeing if we can use that as a inflammatory response as opposed to creatine kinase, because creatine kinase is just so wish-washy, responders, non-responders. Some say 48 hours, some say 72 hours. So that's kind of what I focus on in my master's.
Well, what do you do to decompress? Like, so what? Sounds like you put in a lot of hours, like a lot of PhD students do. So what do you do to? All right, I got to unwind. I got to backpack out of here. I got to do something.
Yeah, exactly. So it was weird the first year because I've always gone to surfing for that, and I just say, all right, I'm just gonna go get away for a couple hours. But Johnson City is beautiful. It's right in the heart of the Smoky Mountains. So I've really taken up backpacking and camping, and within a 30-minute drive, you're in the middle of nowhere, and throw up a hammock, and you won't see a person for the rest of the night. So that's really, really fun, and it's a great decompression. And then you always have your local watering holes if you don't have time to get away.
A couple of watering holes. You always take up like yeah, it seems to me a lot of people start brewing their own beers and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty big out there, and got a couple neighbors that brew some moonshine. So let me tell you, it's different out there.
So what was the biggest thing that caused culture shock for you? Because I mean, I look at stuff, and for us, I mean, we're inundated with. I mean, you're saturated with things that you can do. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably an advantage from your perspective if you want to really immerse yourself in your work. But what was the thing that's, man, this is really different, and you're looking around and realizing that I'm not in California, Southern California anymore.
Surprisingly, it's the lack of, I guess it's not surprising, but the lack of diversity. It's just all white people.
Yeah.
And I mean, growing up in San Diego, it is the ultimate melting pot of America. I was like, oh, it's really surprising. And the people are all really, really nice. That's another culture shock. And probably the good way is people are always constantly opening the doors. Day one, when I moved in, my neighbor invited me over to dinner, and we've been friends ever since. So that's a big plus and a big thing I'm going to try to take away when I come back.
What do you do when you miss your Mexican food? Where would you go when you get back to California? Like, I need my Mexican food.
I've been back 10 days, and I think I got Mexican food 5 of them. And I think the other 5 are fish dishes. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, living down at the beach, I have my go-to places, and got off the plane. I told my girlfriend, "Hey, let's go get lunch at Mike's Tacos," and it's just been itching to get it. You don't realize what you have until you don't have it.
Yeah, right?
I was thinking about that too. I was camping for like 4 days, and I'm like, I need In-N-Out. I need to go to In-N-Out. And I can only imagine what it's like for you out there.
Yeah. And there's no Chipotle. Can you imagine when you like Chipotle?
Chipotle's In-N-Out. Like too crazy. So how often do you come back to California? Is it just during the summer?
So summer, I try to get back. Our big break will be winter around the holidays, and then I try to just make weekend trips whenever I can. It's kind of expensive because there's no big airport where we live, so it's any plane ticket you're adding $150 to it. But yeah, I try to make it back whenever I can, and maybe if we have a long weekend for the fall, we usually have a fall break, so we have that Monday, Tuesday off. So maybe I'll try to come back and take a late flight Friday morning and just get back Monday morning or something like that.
You can maybe look into collaborating with people out here, so that way you can make it
a work trip.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I'm at for now.
So when I was out there, all I really tried was
Cracker Barrel.
Press per Dr. Brown. But what's your go-to spot out there since there's no Chipotle and no In-N-Out?
Yeah. My go-to spot is called Buffalo Street Deli. It is a super, super good sandwich shop that smoke all their meats, and they have a ghost pepper aioli that is the best I've ever had. There's a really good pizza joint called Main Street Pizza, and then there's a great brewery called Yeehaw that has some really good kind of craft brews. And it's funny because I grew up growing up and living in San Diego, kind of seeing the craft beer boom. And I think there's over 150 breweries now. And now being out in Tennessee, they're now starting to go through that transition, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, I always think about how important drinking is in our field. Like, not to say that we're alcoholics, but there's a lot of research that's been discussed over, I don't know, whiskey or beers or
right.
I feel like there should be a class on how to drink and discuss research.
Yes. Hey, I've had some of the best ideas talked about over a beer. Some of the worst also, but as long as you can pick and choose the next day, it's a good night.
So what books are you reading, or what are your top 3 go-to favorite books as far as sports science?
Top 3 sports science. Number 1, without a doubt, is the Sports Gene. That is a book I think every sports scientist needs to read. It's a really, really good book. More on the academic side, I really, really like Papering by Mahogany, I think his name is. And then a 3rd, not so much sports science, but The Power of Habit. I think it's really good at kind of focusing you and teaching you how to either improve habits that you already have or kind of shy away from other ones. And just after reading that book, just shot my productivity up. And then by that same author is Smarter, Better, Faster. That's the book I'm reading right now, and it teaches you a lot about team dynamics and kind of how to get the most out of the little time you have. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the American mentality of more is better.
Yeah.
And it is very important to kind of get away, get that decompression, and kind of revitalize you.
Yeah, I think Dr. Galpin says, I don't know if you're probably familiar with him. He does a lot of biopsy stuff, and he's a really applied sports scientist as well. But a lot of people work really hard, but it's not directed at anything. It's not really purposeful. So how do you go about making your work purposeful? How do you go about, okay, I was productive today, and it's not because you're digging a ditch and then refilling that. So how do you go about goal setting and making sure that everything has a purpose when you're working with, well, anything that you're doing.
Yeah, totally. And it's really easy to fall in that gap of being busy just to be busy. And I think as long as you can step back and say, okay, what do I need to get done by the end of the month? And right now it's easy for me because it's just dissertation. And so as long as I'm spending a couple hours a day working on that, for me it's a successful day. And so whether that is your dissertation or a research project that you're working on, there's got to be a set time in your day that you turn everything off and you're just ultra focused on that. And then the rest of the day is going to be filled with that daily mundane, whether it's prepping for classes or talking with other people about a paper you read or something like that. That's what I find that works best for me.
So do you follow anybody on Instagram, any scientists or anybody that we should look into reading or following on Twitter? Because a lot of times we had Tony Ciccone from Kansas, University of Kansas, and he talked about, well, I follow these scientists because they give me the information I want almost immediately before it's even published. Is there anyone that you follow or think that we should follow as perpetual students?
Yeah, I try to stay away from social media as much as possible. But I think there's a handful of guys that a lot of people follow, and Dr. Stone actually just got a Twitter, so good stuff coming out of him. Dr. Brad DeWeese, he's another one of our professors that is very prevalent on Twitter, and he's constantly posting stuff that he reads that he thinks relevant. And really the best that I get is our email chain through our school. Any paper that Doc reads and thinks relevant, he'll just post and forward to all the students. And that's really where I get the bulk of my recent information and how I stay relevant to what's being published in my document.
Actually, I have a question for Whitney. Hey, whatever happened to Journal Club?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll make sure I bring that up with.
It's like a job for our new lab director.
We'll have to ask Megan.
I'll ask Megan.
I feel like that was a good means to learn stuff.
Yeah, journal clubs are great.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really have to.
I know. I like to volunteer people for that.
Yeah, we know that.
That's how I make friends. I irritate them.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you haven't gone in a while. You need to go.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you can head it now.
So what's been your favorite part about
This favorite part? I think it's being able to completely immerse myself in the field. Before I got there, I thought I was doing enough, and I thought I was up to date. And I get there and found out I was far behind. And it's having such great minds around you and students that are ultra focused and ultra motivated. You're talking something about sports and sports science every single minute of every single day. And it's really, really cool to just completely be immersed in the literature, completely be immersed in talking about training theory or programming schemes. So this person says this, and this person says this. A, why do they think differently? And B, what can we gain from both of it to improve what we're doing on a day-to-day basis? It's really, really neat.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Is it should be the best idea should win. So in the marketplace of ideas, there should be that makes sense. So either you're going to test what you know, maybe you'll reset and just say, man, I didn't know what I was talking about, or you're going to galvanize what you know. And there's a lot of room in between, but the debate, the discussion like what we're having now, that's what makes so much of it important, because there's a lot of learning. There's an awful lot of learning that happens in these discussions and sometimes arguments, frankly, or heated discussions.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's important that you aren't just feel-headed and say, nope, this is right. And I think if you're still doing the same training modalities 10 years from now, something's wrong, because because like I said, there's constantly new information coming out, and whether it's good or bad, it's taking what's good out of it and kind of throwing what's bad off the side.
All right, what's the most heated discussion you've had having to do with exercise physiology or sports science? Can you remember one off the top of your head? I just remember people have wanted to punch me about certain things, but I'm sort of an instigator in some ways.
I don't know. Let me get back to you on that one.
All right.
Well, then let's turn the tables, because I know you came, out to Cal State Fullerton to kind of get to know our program too. Do you have any questions? I mean, Albert was in the grad program. I just finished the grad program.
Yeah, so it sounds like we have a pretty similar program. And I met Dr. Brown at NSCA, and he seemed awesome. And where do you guys see the future of the program? Because it sounds like Dr. Brown's kind of starting to come to a fruition. And where do you guys see it headed?
We have a lot of bright minds there, a lot of highly motivated people, and I guess we'll learn. It's hard. I guess it'd be difficult to. We know a lot of people care about the field and they're passionate about it, and I'm excited to see what the future is going to hold. But I don't know what you can do when you replace someone like Dr. Brown, and so it's definitely going to change. But again, we've got really bright minds here, really highly motivated people here. So it's just going to be different. It's going to be different. I mean, I don't know what to say other than that. What do you think, Whit?
I mean, I think, like you said, we have a lot of good people here. We have Dr. Galpin and Dr. Coburn. We have a lot of actually professors really involved with NSCA still. Dr.
Right.
Kersey, Dr. Costa. So what direction it'll go, it'll be interesting. I mean, Dr. Lockheed's coming to take over the strength and conditioning program. He'll be working under Dr. Brown for a little bit, but essentially at the end of the day, it comes down to, what direction he wants to take the program.
It's tough because I've been there, involved in some capacity for at least 10 years, and so I don't know. It's going to be. I don't know how I'm going to be. I'm generally an emotional guy to begin with.
One of the cool things is that, even though Dr. Brown may be retiring, a lot of alumni from our program, our master's program, they are now at Cal Poly Pomona, they're at San Francisco, they're at Cal State San Bernardino, and they're all developing the strength and conditioning program there and researching. Pretty much taking what we learn here from the culture of being at Cal State Fullerton in the strength program and taking it there to their students and growing it. So he's still kind of like leaving a legacy, but now it's at different schools. So I think that's what's really cool about it, is that, what they all learn from there is, they're taking it there. Just like just like you're saying about Dr. Stone, Dr. Brown will do anything for a student. His door is always open. I mean, always there to reach out.
You get your emails right away.
Yeah.
They respond to emails like, "Oh, I just refreshed it. I already have an answer."
Yeah. My concept was like, if I knew I needed to turn something in and I was going to give it to Dr. Brown, I had to allot an hour to be able to be like, all right, he's going to respond. Like, I can't leave my desk for now until I get all these corrections done. But I think it keeps a lot of people on their toes here.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is very good, it'll be really interesting to see in the next 10 years when our generation starts coming up and becoming relevant, and how many programs are going to start popping up with teaching what we're teaching, just from students from ETSU and from Fullerton and from Kansas and stuff like that.
Mentors.
Yeah, exactly, and really laying the groundwork for the field of sports science to flourish in America, which frankly we're a little behind right now.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. Is we tend to defer to people that are medical doctors to a lot of the stuff that's not really relevant for medical doctors. They're super good at fixing stuff, but maybe not necessarily at the avoiding things because we're being active. And I don't know. I think about that a lot. Someone posted, I think it's been around a lot on the internet, is like, if we had a pill or a drug that could reduce your stress and increase your vitality, but ultimately all these things were like, yeah, it's exercise. Exercise is the answer.
Yeah. But it's not a pill. You have to put in the work, which people kind of brush off to the side.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very interesting.
So when you go to conferences, I'm sorry, I'm gonna digress a little bit. So who do you seek out? Do you generally, I mean, I like that research that they're doing over at that university. I'm gonna go talk to that researcher. So do you seek people out like that, or do you just say, you know what, I'm gonna hang out and I'm gonna read people's posters, go through there and say, you know, I'd like to have a longer discussion with that person. How do you reach out to someone like that, or how do you make that decision on who you're gonna talk to?
I think it's a little bit of both. I have my few people that I go in and say I want to meet with them. I want to make a connection, kind of like Dr. Brown this last NSCA. And then I also think depending on what their talk, a different set is what their talk they're doing. I'll go and kind of listen to what they have to say, and maybe I'll come up with a few questions, or they'll spark a few questions for me, and then I'll seek them out after and kind of start a conversation that way. And then I think a third way which is great, is going through the posters and meeting the students or the recent graduates that are presenting and doing the poster presentations, and just that's more of a formal conversation, and just try to network that way, which is exactly how I do.
And did you ever were you ever shy at first when it came to networking or meeting people?
I'm still shy. I mean, it's hard, especially when there's 10 other people trying to do the same thing. I think the biggest thing is you just can't go in being disappointed if they say no, or they say, oh, sorry, I have to run, because everybody always has 1,000 things going on, and if you meet 10 people, chances are one of them are going to sit down and you're going to make a connection.
What's your favorite thing about being in your PhD program? What is it about your program that just says, man, this is awesome, I really like this, I made the right decision? Is this
I really like teaching. You asked me 2 years ago, are you going to be a professor? I would have said, hell no. I'm going into coaching. But through the program, I've really, really developed this love for teaching, and kind of relaying what I've learned and working on how to interact with students and how to manage, and really just how to help them out. I think that's really, really cool. I think even if I don't end up teaching after graduation, I think I'm going to have a ton of lessons that I've learned, and really just how to interact with people and get the most out of whoever I end up working with.
Yeah, I found a new appreciation for how hard my professors worked when I had to learn how to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When you're a student, all you think is, why is grades taking so long? All you have to do is put them in. Oh, wait. They also this.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you asked me at the beginning of the grad program, do you see yourself teaching? I'm like, no, I'm going to be strength coach.
Yeah.
Now here I am teaching my first 3-unit course this semester. But I think what it comes down to, kind of like what you were saying, how we're learning from these mentors and want to pass it on. I think we're learning such valuable information, and we're so passionate about our field that we want to educate.
Exactly.
There's so much information out there about the fitness industry, and as scientists, I think that we're just really passionate and want to get that information out there.
Exactly. And if you only get it through 5 students' heads a semester, which at the nature is probably the upper end of it, just thinking they're going to, hopefully they pass it on, and really it's what Dr. Brown, Dr. Stone is trying to do, and just get this spiderweb effect, and hopefully it kind of takes over.
I think about that too. It's like, it's not without influence. These guys aren't talking and not having influences on us. So it's sort of.
Yeah. It's just finding those right students, which is easy when you're getting to the master's and PhD level, but hopefully we can spark an interest into an undergrad, and really do what teachers in the past have done to me.
Yeah.
So what's the hardest thing about your PhD program? You said the hours that you put in, but what do you do with, or how good is your, because we, in our lab, we like to consider ourselves family. We're more than just the team or family, but what do you do there? Is it all hands on deck when, oh shit, he has to solder all night long, or he had to solder all night long, I need to maybe bring him a cup of coffee or something like that? Or
it's nice. We all have offices, and it's a group office, so it's 5 of us in a room, and there's another office where I think it's 6 of them or 7 of them in a room, and you see that one day we actually have a bed in the corner, and you wake up early and you see someone like, they slept here last night. Let's try to pick them up, and we'll start a cup of coffee for them. It's not necessarily the hours. It's just that time management and balancing everything we're doing, from classes we're taking to classes we're teaching to the teams we're working with. And what's really great about our program is monitoring athletes is a huge part of our program. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort. And if it was just the people that were working with the teams, it would never get done. But we have in our lab, we post sign-up sheets, and really at the beginning of the semester and the end of the semester, we know everyone has to test all their athletes, and we have a set protocol, and everyone just comes together, and 10 to 15 of us all help out and kind of get it done within 3 hours. So we'll do body comp, we'll do vertical jump testing, we'll do isometric mid-thigh pulls, and with 15 to 25 athletes and 2 people, that would take 18 hours. But like I said, we'll throw out an email, and people just start signing up, and we all come together and help each other out, which is really cool.
Do you have like group meals, or just like, hey, every Thursday night we're gonna go have beers and discuss science?
Yeah.
Is there something you guys do?
Yeah, with how much everyone has going on, and different teams are practicing at different times, and there's only so many hours in the weight room. It's hard to set a specific time, but every couple of weeks someone will shoot an email saying, hey, we're going here, anyone wants to join, come on over. And it's just more of it's nice to have that informal decompression away, and inevitably something sports always pops up in the conversation. That's everybody's life.
Yeah.
Nice to get the students and their wives, or some of them have kids, and just kind of get everyone together and still have a relationship outside of just the lab.
And
so do you sometimes, go ahead.
Are you finding that these sport coaches are pretty accepting of, utilizing you guys and your knowledge? And
yeah, so we actually don't work with every team at ETSU. A majority of them have come to us and asked for our help. You have coaches that think they know everything, and what we're doing is just science. That doesn't apply to us because we're athletes, and you're just trying to fix clinical problems. And I think as sports scientists, it's our job to teach them that no, that's not what we do. We actually can help you. And then on the opposite side, you have coaches that understand that I know my sport. You know how to train them. You take that side. Tell me what you need from me, and let's really come together to make these kids the best athletes that they can be. And that's the ideal coach for anybody to have. So that's another great experience at ETSU, is you either get to get experience from dealing with that hard knock coach, or you get that easy coach, and then you can learn from other people having to deal with the daily struggles.
They must have really, I mean, if you know anything about a field, that sort of groundwork being laid is really tough to find. I mean, having a team that you work directly with, because, I mean, we do it as just like a corollary. We'll do some testing for some teams, but in terms of, this is your team, you're going to work with them, we don't have that. So they must have done something special to sort of have that sort of relationship with their teams.
Yeah, it's which is what makes ETSU ETSU. I don't think there's a more hands-on program in the country, arguably in the world. So it is really, really neat getting that day-to-day interaction. Both Coach Meg Stone and Dr. Mike Stone have done a lot of networking and just really building our spec and our spec program. to build those relationships. And then a whole other side of our program is coach education, and really teaching us how to work with coaches, how to let them know, and kind of not only just telling them what to do, but telling them why, to help get through what we're doing and how they can do it once we're gone.
Yeah, that's invaluable. And actually having to work with a team, because a lot of, and it's a little bit frightening from our perspective. You'll see a lot of people that just go from get their undergrad, get their graduate degree, now they're, and then they'll earn their PhDs, and they've never had the hands-on experience, which makes me nervous, which is frightening from my perspective as a.
No, totally, because like we said earlier, you can know every single thing about the field and exactly how to structure a program, but until you go through that day-to-day process and realize, okay, well, this should work in the book, this should work based on what I've read, but it's not. Oh crap, what do I do now?
Yeah, I always think about, I always pose this question to my classes. Like, so the team messed up, and the coach comes up to you, he's like, I need them to throw up today. I'm punishing them. And you're this mechanism of punishment. And I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't fall into my program. What am I supposed to do? Like, how do I plug this in?
Yep.
But that's what you do with coaching. Sometimes you'll have like a team in football, varsity football come in. Next thing you know, you've got to find something else, and you're not going to send your kids home because you didn't think of, a different workout to do. I don't know. But yeah, the hands-on stuff is so invaluable.
The balancing act, that's for sure.
I know you said you like had a hard time using the Olympic athletes, but are you guys able to utilize your athletes, your collegiate athletes for research?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're open to it.
Again, it comes back to the coach. You have to clear everything with the coach.
Yeah.
But if the coach is up for it, you pitch your idea to Dr. Stone, and 9 times out of 10 you'll get the okay. And a lot of dissertations come out of working with the team.
Wow.
A lot of monitoring dissertations, a lot of programming stuff, and it's really neat, and really the possibilities are endless and just limited by your imagination.
Yeah, we have teams that we work with, and we have nothing. We have everything to do with data collection, but we don't look at the data at all. So it's just like, oh man, can you imagine if we had their numbers, or we could do stuff with their data, but it's not.
Yeah, so that's awesome. By building that, we have that strength coach role and that sports scientist role of the team. So we every monitoring session, we're getting the data, we're keeping it, and then we'll build a presentation to give to the coach, just so he knows kind of what's going on. But then every weight room session, we're collecting volume loads. We have a database that every single team goes into, and that's every single testing session we do, every single lifting session we record, and everybody has access to that. So even if you want to do research, not on the team you work with, but someone else's team, you can go into the archive and just take out the data from the last 4 years and try to maybe track someone's collegiate progress over all 4 years. And like I said, the possibilities are really just endless.
Yeah.
So are these presentations generally pretty informal, or how do you go about presenting this information to the coaches? Do you just give them like, all right, here's a spreadsheet, this is where they're at? Or what is it that you do during these presentations, or could you describe how that would go?
Yeah, so the presentations are, we try to lean towards the formal side, because in our mind, that's what we're there to do. That's why we're landing with this team, and a lot of it is results based off those testing sessions, and depending on the time of the year, it's showing them, okay, this is where our team's at, and then through our training, this is where we want our team to be. And then, so 6 months later, at the end of the semester, we'll say, okay, well, this is where we're at, and then we wanted to be here. Through our training, we either maybe didn't get there, so how can we come together and alter the sport training and alter the weight room training to get where we wanted to be? Or on the best side is, okay, we want to be here, now we're actually here, let's keep it up, and we can expect this result through the season. What we preach is black box versus white box training, And black box is you send in what your record was before the season. You do all this training and this sport training and weight training, but no one really knows exactly what was done. And then you get your result at the end. And then that's the whole reason that black box is just so much going on. You don't really know why you did good or why you did bad. As opposed to white box training is we're tracking every volume load, every lift everyone's done, their peak power at 4 different times throughout the season, or their RFD and how that changes. And now we have a better hint as to why we did really good or why we did really bad to continue what we were doing, or change it and catch it early as opposed to after the season when it was a disappointing season that everyone expected.
So sometimes who interprets the data? It's just the coach. You give them, these are just my results. So do you play a role in interpreting what these things mean for them? Do you have to break it down for coach, or who does that? Is that because sometimes like you're getting them strong, but there isn't necessarily a correlation between that and their performance. Like for instance, golf. I get some kids super jacked up, and their golf scores increase. So what do you do, or who interprets that data? And
yeah, so we interpret everything. We relay it to the coach. We talk coach. We try to incorporate that coach education in teaching them, okay, this is what we're testing. This is why we're testing it. This is what we saw. And so some teams will test bat speed, for example, and then we'll test everyone's isometric mid-thigh pull, which is a strong test for lower body strength. And then we'll run a correlation. There's some super simple statistics and say, look, so your strongest athletes also have the fastest bat speed. So now this is why we want to continue our weight room program, prioritizing our weight room program during the off season, because now it helps them show, okay, now they're not just strong. Now there's a reason why their strength now rolls over into their actual sport.
all right. Is there Whitney there?
Yeah.
Hey, so you're going to be around for the rest of the week? Can we grab a beer or something, Jake?
I'm just here for today, unfortunately.
So bootleggers real quick.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We have all our preseason testing, so I have to get back for that, and then we start school Monday.
That's us too.
Back to the grind.
It's fun grind.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we don't want to keep you too long because we want to show you around Calcio Fullerton a little. So just going to wrap it up. This is a question I give for everyone, but what piece of advice do you have for undergrads, master students, just anyone looking to get or be successful in strength and conditioning, exercise beyond? Great. Best advice you could give.
Best advice. I would say for strength conditioning, everything that you do should be evidence-based. That doesn't necessarily mean you're taking a program out of a book and just blatantly giving to it, because every athlete has a different situation and it's a different part of the season. But as long as there's a reason why you're doing what you're doing, you'll be on the right track.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
That's for education. Or
That's for
not
education?
education, but like just how to be successful in the field.
In the field, I think you just are a constant student. Even post graduation, you're constantly staying relevant with the literature. Our field is really going to go through a transition and boom, and a lot of great research is coming out. So even if it's not for class, it's just being a constant student and constantly pushing yourself to learn more and be and strive for excellence.
Good stuff, man.
Right on.
Thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun.
Are you heading over soon, Albert?
Yeah, I'm gonna just end the broadcast and head over. Change my shorts.
Great. See you soon.
All right, see you shortly. Bye.